Your average ticket should like massively expand this time of year. People are motivated to buy. Their air conditioner's gone out. They're going to have to spend some money. And by the way, there's an old saying in sales. The best time to sell somebody something is right after they bought something. In other words, the best time to sell them attic insulation and ductwork and indoor air quality products is right after they bought an air conditioning system, right? Because once people make that big decision to make that purchase on the big part, the smaller parts become easier and easier to say yes. It's like, you know, when you go to the car dealership and you buy a new car, once they close the deal on the car, where do they send you? Well, they send you over to the finance guy. What does the finance do? You know, he tries to sell you on the undercoating and the spray sealant and the interior protection, you know, extended warranties, all that kind of stuff. Because once you've made that decision to spend 40 grand on a new truck, it becomes very simple, you know, to add a few accessories, especially when those accessories only add 5 or 10 or 15 bucks a month to the payment. Which, by the way, brings me to the last question you should be asking at the end of the comfort survey. At the end of the comfort survey, once you've identified all the problems and you've gotten permission from your homeowner to make sure, or gotten permission from them to offer solutions to those problems, you want to qualify a monthly budget. Don't qualify a total budget, because if you try to qualify total budget, they're going to give you a tiny number. They're going to say 6 grand or 8 grand or 10 grand. What you do want to do, though, is qualify a monthly budget. The way I like to do it is very simple. Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, without taking food off the table, how much could you afford on a weekly basis to solve these problems? Right? So maybe they say 50 bucks a week. That's 200 bucks a month. Right? You combine some energy savings with that of another 30, 40, 50 bucks. Now you got 250 bucks to use in terms of closing the deal. So once I've identified all these problems, the homeowner has given me permission to keep them in mind. Fast forward a half an hour later, now I'm at the end of the sales call, and I say, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, here's the system I'm going to recommend, and here's why. Now I'm going to design a system that includes everything they told me to keep in mind. So here's the investment based on all those recommendations, and the only question I have for you now is very simple. Will you trust me with these recommendations? Now, odds are, if you design a system that I just described, it's probably $25,000. Are they going to buy $25,000? Probably not. Sometimes they will, but probably not. And if they don't, that's fine. You just then say, well, maybe we can do the ductwork next summer. We can come back next year to the ductwork. And you start backing, you know, down the investment options by removing additional solutions. The key is to offer as many solutions as you can, so that little by little you can remove solutions to get down to a number that the homeowner is comfortable with. Listen, I can tell you this, that it's way easier if you can get that big giant boulder at the top of a mountain and let it down little by little, rather than starting at the bottom and trying to push it up. If you start that boulder at the bottom of the mountain, 5,000, 6,000 bucks, it's going to be very difficult to get it up to 10 grand, 12 grand, whatever. But if you start at the 25 and start rolling it down, it's much easier to get there. I can promise you this too. I guarantee you, if you start with a big number, with a comprehensive recommendation first, that boulder is going to stop at a higher number than it would have if you tried to push it from the bottom. Always does, right?